Hi everyone, welcome to the Ecosystem Innovation video series. Today I'm going to be talking with my friends from EY, and I have Hamish and Tanuj with me. Welcome guys, appreciate you being on board.
Good to be on board.
It's good to have you guys. And today we're going to look at requisitioning, but a slightly different slant on requisitioning. In certain industries, there's a lot of purchasing that needs to happen in the field. You may have a mobile workforce, and they often require support in purchasing items that they need to execute tasks in the field. Oil and gas, utilities, etc. This is a regular occurrence. Now you might be thinking, well, purchasing on mobile, that's a normal thing now, right? So, even SAP Ariba and other vendors, well, you have a mobile app that you can use to purchase things, but and that's the way that it should be. But when you add the complexities of remote working, there are other challenges that come up. For example, how do I quickly find out if the item that I want or need is available? That doesn't normally just happen out of a catalog, right? Not every catalog solution can give you stock status, for example. And can you reliably conclude from what you're seeing that, yes, that's there and I can get it because actually I need it within the next hour because I've got to fix X, Y, Z. And what is the right buying channel? Who's the closest supplier, right? Because I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere. I need something now. I need somebody who can bring it to me quickly. Maybe I can't use my strategic supplier because they don't have a base nearby. In a lot of organizations, that's still a very manual process. So they might call procurement help desk or, send an email to get the support, to get the items that they need. And that's, of course, very inefficient. But this is where EY is coming in, and they've looked at this in a really interesting way with their clients. EY have created a fantastic intelligent bot that can help automate and streamline this process. So let's talk to the EY team and see the challenges that they've seen in the field and how they fixed them. So, Hamish, Tanuj,
yeah, well, I'll start. And I think, Tanuj is the brains behind some of this. So I think what's really important, right? We've seen requisitioning done for many years, right? Whether that's a SIF catalog or a punch out. We've got more marketplace activity, and I think it's been really good to see the Ariba kit where you've got spot buy by region, gives you more access to stuff. But now when we get into the position of, the complexity of what people are doing in some of the industries. So let's take, for example, the utilities that you mentioned. I'm out, there's a water leak, all right? There's a water leak, an engineer comes on, typically not with a phone, but with a tablet, a preconditioned tablet. On that tablet, they've got access to Ariba. The variables are relatively static. So we've got our preferred suppliers, there's a whole focus on that. But what do you do if you need to repair a bit of kit, you haven't got something in the van, right? Yeah. So you need to get that soon. So what this allows you to do is, we call it a geolocator. It allows you to get to information that's local. So suppliers are in the local region, and they could be preferred, they could not be preferred. But the point is you could get access quickly to source of supply, and make sure you can meet the demands of both that organization and ultimately the customer. So utilities is a strong play because of the field force area, but also in other areas, also telco media in terms of areas of focus. So we're seeing different trends relative to industry, and we'll chat a bit more about that in a second. But yeah, for me, that's kind of the problem statement. How do we continue source of supply without having to wait for an intervention or days on end, particularly in those specialist types of pieces of product?
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that challenge in many customers. During my time in procurement, that's always been a thing. So, I mean, I talked a little bit about how you've built the intelligent bot, but Tanuj, can you just talk about, what you've pulled together there?
Yeah, absolutely. So to what you guys were saying, the problem we're trying to solve is how can we get our remote workers who are out in the field to be able to easily access not only preferred suppliers that are available through the Ariba platform, but get those catalogs on their fingertips tips when they're out, identify who's closest to them, and then also directly create a requisition within Ariba. So they're still following, even though they're out in the field, they don't have to call someone, they don't have to reach out to someone, but they, on their mobile app, they're leveraging the solution, identifying the closest suppliers, preferred suppliers, and immediately creating that requisition in Ariba. From a technology standpoint, this is a standalone application that we've created. The cool thing about this is that we're, as an app name suggests, it's a geolocation app. So we're leveraging the distance and the latitude, longitude that we have identified for these preferred suppliers to know how far they are from the user's location, which is enabled on the app. So as a user, depending on where I am, so you guys talked about media examples, which might be in a city where I am, like in LA, where I have folks, all the shops are pretty close. You have a 5-10 mile radius, but let's say you're out in the field and in Texas or somewhere else, and in an oil and gas industry, and you have a 50-100 mile radius. So we have provided the same kind of features where you can kind of expand your radius to identify who your closest suppliers are and how quickly you can get that information from them. Once you identify your supplier, you're then able to select the closest one or the preferred one and toggle through that. And a couple of things here, right? So one of the use cases in media is people in LA, as you guys know, they want something, and there's stars and artists who are like, hey, I want this right now. I want it in the next 30 minutes. So you don't want to go through a formal requisition process.
Someone like Mo, maybe, Tanuj. Living in London. But,
No comment. Anyway.
So you don't want them to wait, and you don't want to go wait for a formal process to go through. So another feature in this app is, as you start identifying these suppliers, we've integrated with the Ariba data to pull in emails and phone numbers. So you can immediately on the spot as a requisitioner call the shop, call the store that's closest to you, and make sure that they know, give them a heads up that, hey, we're coming in to purchase this, or we want to pick this up right now, but we'll still be sending you a requisition through Ariba. So it facilitates the immediate need, but still following the policy and controls that are required on the back end to make the purchase happen.
Are there, if there are catalog items connected to that supplier, do you as a user get to see that as well? So does the system recognize that? So it's a supplier X. Yep, they're close enough. This is going to be, they're going to be able to fulfill your needs. But then do they have the items? So you were talking about making a phone call, but if they've got that content available in the catalog, can you see that?
Absolutely, yeah. So if these catalogs are available on our in the Ariba platform in general, we're leveraging Ariba's whitelisted APIs to actually pull that data into our app as well. So we can do real-time callouts to the catalogs and identify what products are available, have the users actually select them as they're going through the app.
Okay, great. So that's given us an idea of what this thing looked like. But Tanuj, can we talk about the actual process flow, just so that for people who are watching this, they get an understanding of how it all connects together?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you guys probably just saw, the solution essentially has three parts to it, right? We have the search part of it, where you're actually going in and identifying, what the different products are and who the closest supplier is. You start with that search engine piece of it. So just to kind of walk you through those steps, the initial piece as a requester is you identify the need. You go into the app and you start searching for the closest location and the suppliers within that location. So you set your radius 25, 50, 100 miles, look at the different suppliers in that area, and you can toggle between whether you want to just look at preferred suppliers or every supplier.
Yep.
What you can also do here is you can refine your search. If I have a lot of suppliers in the area, or I'm looking for something specific, I can always toggle around with these different nuances and also look at and to search for specific keywords that I'm looking for.
Right.
Once I do that and I've identified what I'm looking for, who it is that I want to buy from, I can then select that supplier, view their details, and as I was saying earlier, either we just do a quick check on the phone with them, or we can also, once we get to the next piece of this, look at the catalog items.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Once we've done the search, it then kind of leads into our requisition piece, which is where we're actually filling out the requisition details, right? So what you saw here was creating a requisition. In this case, it was for non-catalog items. So you're just filling in the details. This, to a certain extent, still mimics the data that's required from an Ariba requisition perspective, again, to enable that compliance piece. So as a user, I'm filling out the details of the item name, what the description is, and any other details that are needed, and also providing, in some cases, if required, the accounting information, unless it will default. So it just depends on how the user is set up in the system, but it works with what we have from an Ariba data standpoint. So very closely integrated with the solution there.
Sure. Okay.
And once the user fills out all the details, we then go into the confirmation piece. This is where, again, very similar to as you guys are probably used to using like an Amazon app or any other mobile app. You kind of, once you're done with filling on the information, you do a quick summary check and see, hey, do I have all the items that I needed? Have I done all my due diligence, filled out all the fields? Once you do that, you just hit submit on the mobile app. At that point, it's connecting with your backend SAP Ariba system, submits the purchase requisition, and immediately receives a confirmation back saying that, yep, your requisition has been confirmed and it's with SAP now.
Right. And that just follows then the workflow that's built within guided buying in SAP, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, all right.
I think there's three things for me here, right? So I think there's source of supply, there's flexibility, and there's policy, right? So source of supply, fundamentally, we're talking about businesses. Their whole business is about serving customers out in the field. If we cannot get the appropriate source of supply quickly, not only is that an issue for the customer, it's an issue for the operations.
Yep.
So this is what the tool absolutely supports that in terms of the API connection that we've got. And I think there's more to be done, like taking this to a 2.0 is how do we support local communities? And I think there's something that can be done there. I think the second thing is the flexibility. So flexibility here is, we're all provisioners of services like this in the field where, we have to work with that. I had a problem with my sewer the other day, no joke, Mo, right? But I had a problem with the sewer and I had a guy out, he was struggling to get the pieces to mend outside in the road. Right. And you can see they need the flex, they need that ability to be able to pivot and get stuff quickly. So fundamental. And then the third thing I think is procurement and policy. So fundamentally what we're not doing is we're not saying to a category manager, you need to be more flexible in how you approach a category. We're saying, let's reinforce that, right? Let's reinforce it on the basis of all this tool is doing is it's giving additional flex to what the rules are you've put in place, whether it's a preferred supplier or not. So that's what the tool is trying to bring to life.
And that's your tier ones, tier twos, tier threes that you'll have for that, because you will have to have that process in place. It's just automating that, but keeping it compliant. But in addition, I think, going back to your community piece, I think that's quite important, especially in this day and age, right? Being able to leverage our communities better, enforcing the use of local communities.
Yeah.
And that's important. Actually, you know, we've got a couple of videos coming up on sustainability, and it kind of goes into that piece as well, right? Because it's super important today, and I'd be interesting to see what you come up with there, because I know you've got some ideas on that.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we take it to a level of even more importance and relevance. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Mo. This year's been horrid, right? And we're all no one's looked forward to the end of the year more than us, I think. But at the end of the day, what you have is, you know, people want to support the local community, whether that is the local plumber or whatever. So, you know, having the ability to actually tap into that makes it easy for the field force to go and actually get the provision of source supply, right, but also is actually doing what's right and making it a better working world, which is really what we're about at EY.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, gents. I thought that was a great solution. I really wanted to talk to you about it. So, you know, if you're out there and you're in some of these industries and you've got these remote workers and you have these challenges, I can pick. There's a big customer that I had in the UK that would have loved this a few years ago. And there's one in North America as well. I was actually talking to them on LinkedIn recently just to say hello, because it was the lady's birthday. She would have loved this. I won't mention her name because I might get in trouble.
Well, if she needs a birthday cake quick from a local supplier, all good.
So yeah, no, it's great. So thanks for that. I think this is going to be really useful. And you know, this is an industry play, and that's the other reason that I think it's important, because, you know, going into 2021, you're going to see a lot more from SAP around industry plays, and EY are at the forefront of that. So thanks again. I know we got more coming, and Tanuj, we're going to have you back on to talk about the many use cases that you're building the RPA factory. So, you know, I want the audience to watch out, because we're going to come back and talk about a lot of neat use cases from what Tanuj and the team are building. Thanks again, both. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care, everyone.